Hello, dear ones. I hope you are all in high spirits despite the chaos going on in the world surrounding COVID-19. It is rare for me to do a spoken video like this, but I felt compelled to do so as we are living in interesting times with many gurus, healers, psychics, and prophets surfacing in every direction, all of which claim to have the answers and the techniques that everyone is so desperately seeking. But what I've found in the wealth of content available on YouTube and in many Facebook groups is a vast array of knowledge based not on truth, but on the subjective experience of the individual, which is often depicted as truth and the way things are. While there is some truth in individual experience, this type of truth is more personalized to the experiencer and not the complete truth in most cases. In order to speak from a place of complete truth and not subjective truth or opinion, one has to transcend the ego and operate in the highest state or higher self before the experience can be fully understood from a place of complete truth. I will at some point be doing a video of how to connect to the higher self, so please look out for that. Okay, let's get started. Lucid dreaming, astral projection, and the less popularized mental projection. I want to give an explanation of what each of them are, or at least what people perceive them to be in the briefest sense. Then I will shed some light on what is possible and how each of them are related. So let's start with lucid dreaming, which in recent years has become more widespread, even more so now with many countries being locked down and people being forced to stay at home. I've noted that my lucid dreaming hypnosis video has had a sudden surge of views since the lockdown began. So what is lucid dreaming? In the simplest form, a lucid dream happens when one falls asleep and enters in the REM sleep cycle. It is the mainstream belief that dreaming takes place during REM sleep. Lucid dreaming occurs when the dreamer suddenly realizes that they are dreaming. And as a result of this, the dreamer is able to take control of their actions within the dream and thus becoming lucid. By becoming awake within the dreamer is able to completely control everything from their own actions to the environment around them. The degree of control is dependent upon the level of awareness at the time. As an example, some lucid dreamers are able to fly, walk through walls, and create all types of unusual structures, while others have the same ability as in their waking life. It is believed that the whole lucid experience takes place within your mind. Your body is fully asleep during the experience, which should prevent you from lashing out in your sleep. Now moving on. What is astral projection? In short, it is believed that astral projection is the ability to project your astral body, or sometimes called the energy body, by some practitioners out into the astral world. Some practitioners state that every living being has an astral body, as well as a physical body. By bringing awareness to this astral body, one is able to use it independently from the physical body. Some believe that the astral world exists in the mind and is nothing more than a very vivid lucid dream, as the most popular form of astral projection is done by interrupting sleep cycles, then going back to bed. Others believe that it exists outwardly in the fourth dimension and that it is home to entities and spirits of various kinds. It is believed that people who astral project and see the world they live in are only experiencing an imagined copy, which is why it has been difficult for mainstream scientists to prove its existence with the current level of technology mankind possesses. Whatever you believe, if you are seeking to experience astral projection, I have written simple instructions that anyone can follow and achieve success with on the Sifumi platform. All you need to do is Google Sifumi, spelt SIFUME, astral projection. So type in Google Sifumi astral projection and it will come up with an easy to follow astral projection method that will help you start projecting within a week. I will at some point create an astral projection hypnosis guide, as many of you have been asking me for this over the years. In the meantime, you can find my astral projection binaural on the Sifumi channel, and that is also very easy to use, and the instructions are on the Sifumi website. So have a look at that if that's what you're looking for when you come to this video. Right, moving on. What is mental projection? Now, this is much less popular than astral projection and much less popular than lucid dreaming, and many of you may not have even heard of a mental projection. This type of projection is performed by projecting the mind or the mental body outwards into the mental plane. The mental plane is the plane of thought. Of the three types I'm discussing here, it is believed to be the most difficult to achieve, as it is said that the mental plane exists in a dimension above the astral plane. As the title suggests, it is believed that mental projection requires perfect concentration to execute and maintain. Many believe that mental projection is the same as remote viewing, and as such is much easier to experience than astral projection. So it all depends on your perspective. Mental projection is commonly experienced from a highly wakeful yet relaxed state, and involves using visualization techniques in its initial training. Now that the formalities are out of the way for each form of projection, and yes, lucid dreaming is a form of projection, you will understand why I say this in a moment. When we begin to fall asleep, the pineal gland secretes a specific amount of dimethyltryptamine, aka the notorious DMT. This in turn begins the onset of sleep paralysis and is one of the first notable stages of sleep that occurs after the hypnagogic stage. Fortunately, or unfortunately, most people are not aware of the onset of sleep paralysis, aka SP for short. This is due largely to the fact that they are quite tired when they decide to go to sleep and lose consciousness prior to the hypnagogic stage. There are a few of you who may become aware shortly after SP has taken hold of you, and you might find yourselves feeling trapped, unable to move or utter a word. If you would like to find out more about sleep paralysis and how to break it instantly, please Google Sifumi sleep paralysis for a detailed analysis and instructions that are easy to follow. To get back on point, as the ego loses consciousness and SP is fully realized, the astral body is loosened from its physical tether and begins to float upwards or sink downwards, depending on the individual's state of mind at the time of going to sleep. This is why many of you may have experienced the falling sensation and suddenly catching yourself awake in between sleeping or dreaming. This floating of the astral body is right when dreams take place and is the very same separation technique used for astral projection. The only difference between falling asleep and dreaming and purposeful astral projection is that the individual is fully aware of the separation in the latter. So in other words, when we fall asleep naturally with no intention of astral projecting or anything, we're not aware of the astral body separating or projecting itself upwards. However, when we're trying to astral project on purpose, during that transition, we're fully aware of what's taking place. Now let's clear up a little myth here about dreams. So it is commonly believed that dreams are restricted only to REM sleep, but they are not. In fact, you continuously dream from the moment of separation until you wake up. However, most people only recall the dreams they had during the REM cycle or during the end of a sleep cycle when they're about to wake up. The reason you may not remember all of your night's dreams is that you've been trained from a child to forget or ignore them as nothing important. This is truer in the Western world, where we tell our children from an early age to believe it's just a dream, it's not important. Especially when our children have nightmares, we say to them, don't worry, love, it was just a nightmare. It can't hurt you, just ignore it. Pay no attention to it. And as our children grow into adults, they learn to focus less attention on what happened during their sleep and more attention on their wakeful lives. We even see our children resisting sleep and wanting to stay awake more and more as they grow. Thankfully, there is training we can undertake to increase our awareness and improve dream recall of our night's travels. I won't go into too much detail at this point, but promise to make a video outlining these techniques in the coming weeks. All dreams, whether lucid or not, take place on the astral layer. Lucidity during dreams and astral projection is dependent largely on the level of awareness you can embody during these states of mind. The greater your awareness, the more vivid and detailed the experience becomes. I know of many people who use lucid dreaming as a springboard for their astral projections. Likewise, there are many who use separation techniques for astral projection, but due to a lack of experience, lose awareness and easily fall into a dream state, despite the fact that they were not dreaming to begin with. The best way to think about lucid dreaming, astral projection, and indeed mental projection is in terms of vibration. Lucid dreaming is a lower vibration state than astral projection. Likewise, mental projection is a higher vibration state than astral projection and requires a higher state of concentration than astral projection. Therefore, by simply adjusting your vibration higher or lower, one can transition between all three states in one session. Naturally, as we increase our vibration and transition from lucid dreaming to astral projection and upward to mental projection, our ability to perceive more will increase. Many people who are frequent lucid dreamers have not even realized that in some of their experiences, their vibration has increased significantly to the levels of the higher astral and beyond. The reverse can also be said. Some astral projectors separate on such a low vibration that all they perceive is a dark, shadowy environment that has been dubbed the etheric layer. To give you a few examples, you can start off by falling asleep, becoming lucid within a dream. Then once your awareness has been fully established, you can then raise your vibration to the higher astral plane, whereby the vividness of the experience matches waking life. Going further still, you can transition into a mental projection, or you can start off intending to astral project, but once you separate, you may find yourself in a mental projection instead, or in a lucid dream instead. And this is why we get a lot of mixture of opinions on the subject. We get people who claim that they've done astral projection for years and it's nothing more than a lucid dream. Or we get people who lucid dream and believe that they're astral projecting. And this is why we need to strip away the ego and the subjective way of looking at things in order to get to the real truth of whether we're lucid dreaming, astral projecting, or mentally projecting. But there are clear differences between the three, which is what we're going to discuss next. So how can you tell the difference between the three states? Well, in lucid dreaming, your awareness is usually lesser or equal to waking life. It can feel real enough, but with dreamlike qualities. If you are at the lowest vibration of the lucid dream, you may find it difficult to fly freely about. You might not even be able to manipulate your environment as freely as you would like. As you raise your vibration to a higher state of awareness within the dream state, you will find it easier to move and can manifest any dream character of your choosing. You are less likely to encounter entities during a lucid dream. but that does not mean it's impossible. Most of what you see in the lucid dream is being generated by your superconscious, that is the higher self. This is why many non-lucid dreams carry meanings. It's the way in which our higher self will communicate with us until we master direct communication with the higher self. You are able to dream share from a non-lucid or lucid dream state. I will discuss the techniques for this in a separate video, but for now, know that this is possible and it is not as difficult as you might imagine. So to put it another way, although your dreams and lucid dreams will take place on the, let's call it the lower astral layer, what tends to happen is the higher self, the superconscious, will create its own bubble within that layer of you to create, explore, dream, anything that you can manifest or imagine. So although it is on the astral layer, it's almost in its own separate room. You know, it's kind of like being inside your house. You're still on planet Earth. You're still in whatever country you live in, but you're in your own space where you're safe to express yourself, do things, you know, in privacy. And this is how we need to start viewing lucid dreaming. You know, it's a form of projection that takes place in your own separate space within the astral layer. Okay. You can enter into someone's dreams through astral projection and mental projection, witnessing what they are experiencing and communicate with them directly. However, unless they are lucid, they may appear disorientated, as if they've had one too many drinks. Needless to say, but I will say it anyway for the sake of clarity, through astral projection and mental projection, you are able to easily perceive entities and other spiritual beings, including the higher self, spirit guides, deceased friends and relatives, as well as spirits who have never had a physical body, such as elemental beings. I'll make a separate video on these much later. Aside from application, the main difference between astral projection and mental projection is that in the former, you are not experiencing or interacting with the physical waking world. The astral body is designed for the astral world. You can, however, with practice, employ mental vision or true sight, which will allow you to perceive the physical world in your astral form. This is much easier to accomplish than fully invoking the mental body. When the mental body is invoked, one can clearly perceive the physical and astral layers of reality. Being in the mental body, however, does not necessarily mean that you will be able to perceive the mental layer. In fact, many mental travelers aren't aware that they are invoking this vehicle of consciousness, and so are only able to perceive what they know or what they are seeking, which is usually the astral or physical realms. To better understand how each of these realms are connected, we can, as an example, state that the etheric plane sits between the physical and astral planes. The astral plane is often categorized as having a lower and upper part, the lower part being where most dreams are enacted, and the upper part being the dwelling place of the bulk of the astral inhabitants. The astral sits just below the mental layer. There are layers beyond the mental, which I will not discuss publicly until it becomes necessary. The serious student will find plenty resources on such topics, and with discernment can weed out the gems from the stones. What other possibilities might any of these forms of projection be used for? Well, starting from the bottom, lucid dreaming is not only a fun and exciting way to spend time while the physical body is re-energizing itself, but can be used as a potent tool for studying or practicing anything you have in mind. You can practice any number of musical instruments. You can practice painting, learning a new language. You can connect with the subconscious and indeed the superconscious to rewire your thinking, your emotions. You can safely confront your fears, no matter what that might be. You can accelerate healing from any pre-existing conditions by healing your own energy body whilst in this state. This invokes the Hermetic law of as above, so below, due to the fact that the energy body exists in a vibration that is above the physical body. The energy body is much easier to work with when it comes to healing. It sounds surreal, doesn't it? Why not try it for yourself? Test the limits of your own imagination. All of the above can also be achieved with astral and mental projection. However, the effects are much more profound and manifest quicker than doing it in a lucid dream. With astral projection upwards, you can heal the energy body of loved ones by entering their dreams, or if in the mental body, projecting to their location. With mental projection, you can visit any physical or astral location and witness the events unfolding there. You are able to travel into the past and divine providence permitting, into the future. You are able to enter parallel realities and different dimensions of time and space. Many projectors who have achieved this type of travel mistakenly believe that they are still astral projecting, just as I did when my true awakening began many years ago. Once I was fully in contact with my true self, the forgotten knowledge of this was easily accessible. And this same knowledge is accessible by all who seek it in earnest. When it comes to projecting, your only limits are your imagination and your current level of consciousness. Not everyone is ready to experience projection of any kind, so do not be surprised if it comes naturally or easy to you, but impossible for those you know. We are all at different levels of consciousness development, and the highest self will only allow you to experience what you are capable of handling or what you are ready for. Physical age is not an indication of conscious maturity. If you are having a difficult time projecting, then you need to turn your attention to self-development and improvement. It may be that emotional trauma is impeding your ability to consciously project, or some other fear-based thoughts are blocking your path. Before I finish this discussion, I would like to answer a final question that I see cropping up often in various groups and in comments. Is astral projection safe? No, it's not safe. There are countless demons waiting to snatch your soul and drink its life force so they can take over your body and all your chores. They are just itching for the chance to get a 9-to-5 job so they can take your place in paying taxes and doing a job that you probably hate. Oh dear, if you couldn't tell, that was a joke. Astral projection is perfectly safe for anyone, regardless of your spiritual beliefs. It doesn't matter if you're Christian, Catholic, Muslim, atheist, Hindu, Buddhist. Anyone can achieve astral projection if they put their heart into it and they try and they practice. They can achieve it. However, just because astral projection is safe, that doesn't mean you won't have a bad trip, so to speak. The astral plane has another name. In true hermetics, it is the illusory world or emotional plane. The astral plane operates on the same frequency as our emotions, and as our emotions can quickly change from one state to another, the astral manifests the same qualities. The inexperienced projector may notice that their emotions are heightened during projections. Likewise, when you dream of having an argument with a close friend, you can wake up feeling angry. The point I'm making is that if you have any fear about projection, demons, or anything else in general, and you do manage to project, you may manifest a scary encounter. Of course, this isn't 100% guaranteed. If you're afraid of heights, you're not suddenly going to appear on the top of Mount Everest looking down. Fear has a strange way of manifesting on the astral, and it's different for each of us. And as previously stated, because the astral is so changeable, your fear may or may not manifest as something totally unrelated. You may not even realize you have these fears, as they may have been buried deep within you or inherited from close friends and family. Fear is more contagious than the common cold. But like all fear, it's an illusion. It's a lie. We tend to be afraid of things we don't fully understand or things we believe can hurt us in some way. However, your fears decide to manifest will be between you and your higher self. But know that this is simply an extension of yourself and your own power, which you are giving up to your fears. Our fears only manifest when we are ready to face and overcome them. So if you see anything scary while you're projecting, do not be afraid. Your astral body is invincible. Anything that happens to it does not happen to your physical body. Remember that the higher self may send tests to you while projecting, as it's much easier for it to communicate with you on the energetic planes. Anything you meet on the astral plane that you do not like the look of or feel of, the key is to simply send it love and move on. Just ignore it. There are many new age projectors who claim that one should use protection during projections, but this too is illusory. When you project, if you believe there is a danger, you may or may not create that scenario. If you choose to believe that the protections you cast work, then provided that that belief is rock solid, they will work. So it's almost like a placebo effect. Whatever you believe to be true on the astral is more likely to become true. If you do not harbor any fear in your heart or mind, you will be safe during any projections and won't need to cast any protection. But as previously stated, nothing during a projection can truly harm you. Therefore, it is totally up to you to decide whether or not to protect yourself. There are a variety of methods, from using crystals to envisioning a bright white light covering your entire energy body. Finally, while we are on the topic of projection and safety, I would like to clear up a myth regarding being unable to find your way back to your body. Although you may feel as if you've left your body, depending on which method you've used, you do not actually leave your body. You simply transition more of your consciousness into an astral body, which you then extend outwardly or inwardly, depending on where you are trying to go. What that means is you are still very much in your body and can at any time change your focus back to the physical body, simply by thinking about it. Remember the Hermetic law: as above, so below, as within, so without. If you take this law as truth, what it's saying is that the outside world is an extension of the inside world. So by projecting, you are really just exploring the outer parts of your own being. And with that said, there is nothing to worry about. To clarify further, you cannot lose your way back to your body, and your body cannot be possessed or controlled against your will. You can be influenced, but again, this is a choice. No one can force you to do anything without you agreeing. Buddha said it best: do not believe anything simply because you have heard it. Do not believe in anything simply because it is spoken and rumoured by many. Do not believe in anything simply because it is found written in your religious books. Do not believe in anything merely on the authority of your teachers and elders. Do not believe in traditions because they have been handed down for many generations. But after observation and analysis, when you find that anything agrees with reason and is conducive to the good and benefit of one and all, then accept it and live up to it. The reason I ended with that quote is I want to encourage people to take their experiences into their own hands. As Buddha says, no matter who says it, don't believe it. Go out with an open mind and above all an open heart, and gain your own understanding of these concepts. Provided you operate from a place of love and truth, you will find the answers to the questions you seek. Thank you for taking time to listen, and if you have any questions, please do ask. I decided to do this video on instinctual impulse, so I'm certain I may have left out some key information. I would love to hear from you all. Peace, love, and growth. to you all.